The United States Census Bureau states that 34.7% of people did not vote in the 2024 presidential election. Not voting is actively giving up your right to vote in America. In my family, we've always put an emphasis on voting with education, knowing who you're voting for or what you are voting for or against. Every person should vote in every single election that they can. Voting is a civic duty given to every American on their 18th birthday or the day they become a citizen of the United States. The main points that I want to cover today are the low rate of voting and the low rate of political knowledge in America. Becoming educated on policies and candidates, representatives in America, like the people that represent you, both or all federal, state, and locally, as well as getting citizens' voices heard by the government and getting your representation and getting laws that you actually want put in place. So to start, I want to talk about the actual problem. Voters, Americans, are not educated about American politics. Social media, I think, plays a very big role in this, especially with the younger generations. According to the Maryland Today, misinformation and false information is very common on social media platforms, especially Instagram, TikTok, and X, as well as Facebook, but Instagram and TikTok are more commonly used with the younger generations. This happens because influencers that people trust, even though they don't know them, misconstrue information or just come up with plain false information, and the consumers of that content accept what is placed in front of them on their screen as fact with little to no fact checking. Americans also don't feel motivated to get involved with politics or their government. Part of this is because voting polls are very busy on the day of voting. According to the Pew Research website, Tuesdays are also very inconvenient. Tuesdays is the typical voting day in America. It's very inconvenient to get time off work or just take time out of your daily schedule to go vote. There is also uncertainty about candidates, especially in presidential elections, and so people choose not to vote altogether. Now I'm going to tell you about the solutions to those negative aspects of voting. To start off, get off social media and watch or read reputable sources. For example, from both sides. For example, I follow both CNN and Fox News to get a full circle picture of what is happening in America. It is very important to watch the news, even though it is very despairing and sad to watch. It is so important because we need to know what is happening in our country and just in the world in general. But it's even more important to view reputable sources and also report information that has questionable merit, specifically on social media. Now, according to the American Psychological Association, reporting procedures are very accessible on social media platforms. So it is very easy to report false information to the website that you're using. Um, it has become increasingly more convenient and easier to vote for Americans in the last 2 decades. In accordance with the U.S. Vote Foundation, an array of convenient alternative ways to vote have been developed instead of having to physically go to the polling station that you are assigned to. Examples of this are early voting, in-person absentee voting, same-day registration in voting, among others. There's many. And now specifically Idaho has no excuse absentee voting, early voting, military absentee voting, overseas voting, and the same-day registration and voting available to us. Now, the benefits may not affect you right away, but they are there and they will become evident. In line with Born Brown website, voting, especially locally, shapes your community positively. Voting locally and state, the benefits will become evident to you quicker, as opposed to federal, where it may be more gradual of a change in benefits. And as well as we vote more as a population, are the policies put in place and the officials that are elected begin to reflect the broader group of voters, which gives us a more accurate result as to what the citizens of America actually want for our country. Voting also, most importantly to me, gives power to the people and takes the power of decision away from the government. So citizens get to decide what happens to us as opposed to the government deciding what happens to us, which I'm sure we can all agree we want to make decisions for ourselves. Now that you know the benefits that come with voting, I want to share with you the ultimate purpose of voting that our founding fathers wanted for us, and that is to keep our country ours. As I just said, making decisions for ourselves, creating a future for our country that is good and that is not government focused. Every American is given the right to vote on their 18th birthday or the day that they pass their citizenship test. Now, to wrap up, I just want to remind you of the main points that I made. Americans are not adequately educated on politics and, as a result, do not vote. There are increasingly many ways, and I'm sure there's more being developed, more convenient ways to vote, to give access to every single person to be able to vote. And voting greatly impacts the whole country and every single individual's community, no matter how small it is. So perform your civic duty, educate yourself, and vote in the way that you see fit for this country. Any questions? Yes.
What's the difference between early voting and absentee voting?
Early voting will happen, obviously, earlier. It's in the name. It will happen typically at a different place than your normal voting poll. It will still happen in a government building, not necessarily a school, as schools are very commonly used as polling places, but it will happen somewhere different, like an American Legion. And in-person absentee voting, there's not much of a difference. You still have to go physically to the polling place, but yeah, there's not much of a difference. Anyone else?
What do you need to prove your citizenship that you're eligible to vote? What do you need, like voter ID? What are some of those?
Yeah, so you do need a voter ID that will look like a driver's license, maybe a passport or a state ID. There's not much that if you need, it will show that you are a citizen if you have an American passport or an American birth certificate maybe. Yeah, just need to be an American citizen.